Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Mechanics AMA. We're going to be giving it just another minute for any late joiners, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Looks like we were correct about Metez having his hand up already.
We were.
Nice.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and get started with our Mechanics AMA. Ah, there's Dreamer. That's who I was waiting for. Good timing. All right. So we will first go over to the friskiest of foxes for a little intro.
Thank you, Bolan. And good morning to everyone, or afternoon. I guess it's afternoon for most people. Welcome to our AMA. It's been a crazy week. It always is here at DFK, but this one's been, one for the books. The entire market seems to be sort of having troubles today, which it tends to do here in the crypto space. But ups and downs. That's kind of what we sign up for. And in terms of like what we do as a project, we are always cognizant of ensuring that what we do is just adding utility and value to our project. Whether we're up, down, or sideways, we always build. But we also want to plan for the worst, plan for the best, or hope for the best and plan for the worst. We are smart, and we want to make sure that we're able to always have what we need for the project to be successful long term. So we do talk about that a lot internally, and we have some things that we'll be sharing here in a bit about our sort of like responses for things like that. Last week we had a action plan committee that we did on Friday, where we kind of shared a lot of points there about things that we will be making changes to or continuing to do that we were already doing, and sort of what our action plans are for that. One of the major things there in my mind was the grant program and the stuff we're doing for tokenomics to ensure that the features that we're releasing are always presenting the best use case for our assets here, so that our players are always incentivized to play and to hold and to spend in all the ways that are healthiest for the project. We also kind of mentioned DFK Duel and Pets, and I think even Stonecarver and some of the others that are coming up real soon that will be adding additional utility to those things. And we have the team here with the mechanics to answer a lot of those specific questions about those features. So I'm excited for that. We also had a really momentous thing last week where we had our I think over half of our team went on camera for the first time ever. Our team has been anonymous since the start. It's been one of those things that we just have always done. But as we move into this new phase of our project with Kingdom Studios being set up and having us adopt more traditional business sort of things, we just basically felt that it was the right time to stand up with and for the community and show you guys that we are here for the long term, that we are actual real people, that we're professionals, and that we are wanting to send a strong signal to you guys that we're basically doubling down on this. Like, we're not going anywhere. We're not concerned about ups or downs. We are here to make this work for the long term, and are excited about it. So I was really proud of the team for stepping up and doing that. and it just feels good to be able to show our faces and show you guys that we're real, that we're committed, and that we're here for the long term. Last week, we also launched Gen Zeros on Crystal Vale, which was a huge moment. It also entailed a lot of other things that had to be built to support that from an infrastructure standpoint. We had to build bridging to support our hero NFTs. We already had bridges set up for like jewels and for some of our other assets, but NFTs, for those that are familiar, traditionally NFT bridges, what they do is they just wrap a hero NFT or a NFT in general, and they create a new NFT that basically represents that NFT on the other chain. But what that is it's just a wrapped NFT. It hasn't got the same like data or the same functionality sometimes as what the original one had. So our heroes are very complex, and they have all kinds of internal fields and things that have to stay in sync across our chain. So the solution that we had to build in conjunction with Synapse was a very custom solution, and I'm really proud of our team for being able to put that together and have it be so seamless. Our current setup of our game now is actually cross-chain in a very real way, where your heroes can travel from one chain to another and can do things from like one chain or another as well. And that really lays the foundation for some of the cool things that we'll start to be launching soon over there in Crystal Vale, as well as we start to expand some of the features that are on Serendale into there. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, with all that in mind, we have the game mechanics team here. They'll be talking about some of the upcoming features, answering questions. One of the big ones that is coming up soon is the Gen Zero reroll, which I think they'll talk about more as well. I'll have some more thoughts towards the end about like the current market and what our solution and response to that is as well. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, turn the time over to Dreamer if you had any thoughts, and then others.
I think maybe just add a little bit on like what's going on in the world. And this isn't meant to be taken on like this is not financial advice in any way. It's not an excuse either. I hope it isn't seen as that. But if you look at the price of Jewel and price of Crystal and what really causes it to move, obviously if people outright buy or sell Jewel and Crystal, that'll affect the price. But even if you assume no outright activity, and you look at the way the dexes are set up, we have Jewel routing through majority of our pairs. So as the value of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Avox, Harmony One, stable, well, I guess not stables, but other tokens as well in the pairings, as they adjust up and down, that does affect the price as well. So, Fox gave a good overview of, the broad market, not just crypto market, stock market. There's a lot of articles out there. I invite everybody to go do your own research on what's happening in the market as it relates to, the Fed and the policies that have been releasing more information. Last week, global conflicts, oil is an interesting topic to pay attention to right now, both the price of and the demand that is being impacted by COVID and restrictions in large countries like China. There's a lot of fundamental information out there that can help us understand what's happening in lending, how that affects stocks, how both of those moves affect smaller tech companies, which is highly correlated with crypto, which moves large coins that Jewel and Crystal are paired with, and thereby affect the active price of. So just wanted to connect all those dots, continue to learn, educate ourselves, and understand the movements there. Foxy did mention that we're going to circle back with comments at the end of this, right? I should hold any additional comments related to what we're thinking about and the analysis we're doing and actions to after the AMA. Is that right?
Yeah, I think either time is fine. It is important for us to like address, but I also want to like respect the game mechanics main subject of this. Obviously, every time we do AMAs, there's two parts to it. There's the sort of state of the project, and there's also AMA for our like devs and our artists and all that type of stuff as well. So the equally important. I don't know, Dreamer. Do you think it would be better to go into that now with all the context that we have, and then officially switch over there? Perhaps that would.
I think so. Just so that if people are like having questions like, oh, what are you doing in terms of analysis? Are you thinking about solvency and pay and others? Maybe we'll just give a little bit here so then we can focus on mechanics, have all our questions be focused on that, and then maybe save some time at the end for any unrelated questions if that works.
Love it.
But
Yeah.
I'll just give a quick overview and then we can get handed over. So been doing a lot of time. I think it was either last AMA or the AMA before that on the regular scheduled AMAs, not the special ones that we had. There was a question that said, hey, how are you thinking about solvency? Are you looking at wallets? Are you looking at payouts and everything? And the answer was, yeah, we are. We actually refreshed the solvency analysis when a few days before that question was asked, and we've been spending a lot of time as I personally am like laser focused on the global markets and the overall health of all the international economies and the effects of overall prices that do, whether we like it or not, affect crypto space and our own tokens within DeFi kingdoms. So if we, I think it was mentioned the 5 million initial minting into or allocation of the initial jewel to the dev fund. And as we have, paid out those that have been building and growing the project over time, we've watched that number stay at about 5 million. It's been, for the most part, self-sustaining. And that's with all of the incentives that we paid out. That's with airdropping all of the crystal, to the people that have earned it, with that and partnering with the community for the launch there. That's with all the jewel snapshots and everything there. We still manage to see the project be self-sustaining and keep that that initial amount be relatively the same. However, last week we saw for the first time it dipped just under that. So, it perked our ears up and we're like, we need to, one, watch what the market is doing, but also prepare a number of responses to that to make sure that the health of these wallets is one of our number one priorities. We want to make sure the community is aware of those efforts. And essentially we're doing a few things. I mean, these are things to be like, let's review how much we pay everybody. So yeah, we're doing that. We're going to continue to do that over time. But the main focus is right now is, how are we paying people? We usually track how much somebody has earned, like a US dollar amount, and then look at how much jewel it would take to pay out that number. And we look at the previous week, what was the range of jewel, and we would identify a number to do that calculation that is fair and most likely lower than current number. And historically, that's worked out. That hasn't caused us to eat into any reserves. That's been a healthy way to be fair and consistent. However, now, at the current prices that we're at, we're trying to adjust to say, hey, let's identify a floor. And this floor is probably going to move over time depending on the health of the funds and how much they are, capitalized at any certain time. But let's identify a floor in which we do our calculation of US dollar earned divided by our floor number to identify how much jewel to pay out. And that floor needs to be a number that suggests that we promote stability to the wallets. So I just kind of wanted to share that we're doing the analysis. We're looking at our overall output, and we're looking at ways that we can minimize disruption there.
Yep. Yeah. So that's exactly right. We've been approaching this from all angles. We want to do anything we can to not even get into a place where it's like in danger. And with the current plan that we have in place that we're basically formulating, we stay out of that area where it would be in danger. And that's like really what this is all about, is trying to figure out what we need to do, whether that means, in the short term, having our team basically accept less and have more sweat equity in the project as we go. But that's really what it's kind of about, is just exploring options there. Making sure that we do what we can well in advance of when it gets to a point where it's an emergency, so that we're able to avoid any kind of point where it could reach like insolvency or anything like that. And that's part of our commitment to the project and to the community, is to always be forward looking and be very conservative in our estimates and all that type of stuff. So yeah, Dreamer, any last thoughts there before we move over to game mechanics?
Sure. I mean, if anybody hears that and they say, "Oh man, but then are you paying the devs less? Will people be less incentivized?" The last piece here is we're also going to track using that floor, we're going to track any amount that would have been paid out that is not, in order for stability, and put it in a bucket of deferred compensation. Many projects do this in the real world. You look at hours worked, and you look at what you have funding to pay for. You look at forecasted revenue and cost, and you give a portion of pay in the short term, and then a portion that is deferred. So we are taking care of our team. We're taking care of the wallets. We're looking at the overall markets. We're trying to be less focused on price. We're not aiming to be at one price or the other, but we are very aware of the need to make sure that we make important decisions to continue to build, to be relevant, to be innovative, which just puts us in an even better position to probably many of our peers for when the global conflicts do look for resolutions, when there are solutions to a new COVID crisis and scares, when there is a smoothing of reaction to the Federal Reserve moves. We are going to continue to be well positioned to, I guess, rise even more, hopefully, even more aggressively than we otherwise would have if we weren't thinking about all of these things. So just wanted to round out that view.
Yep. I mean, when you look at the macro environment right now with the fear and greed index, I think I saw a number. I think the fear is extreme fear right now across the entire sector. I think it's like 11. But, that traditionally signals that something is oversold. Not to say it can't get lower, et cetera, et cetera. But it's during these times that the projects get kind of like weeded out. Like, which ones have the staying power? Which ones have the teams that can carry them through these times that are lower? And that's what we have been basically setting ourselves up for this whole time, is making sure that we can withstand that and that we will withstand that. I always like to point to Axes, who some of us see them as kind of like our competition, which I always think, like healthy competition is good. But I do like one thing that they've done is that in the past they would build through like the bear market, setting themselves up for success when it came back. And that's really what we are all about as well, is saying like we have what it takes to make it through this, and we're going to make sure that we take the steps that we need to take to ensure that we can. And so that's really what it's about. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. Another quick thought is part of what we're doing is redirecting funds from the Founders Fund, which is a team like bonus fund, to the Dev Fund, which will help to basically ensure even longer solubility, or I guess solvency of that Dev Fund as well. So just stuff like that we're trying to be creative with there. And last thoughts from Dreamer before we move on to the mechanics?
Nope.
Great.
I'm excited to get to mechanics.
All right, Bolin, I'll hand it back over to you to moderate that, and we'll turn the time over to them. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate you both, and appreciate the rundown. I know it'll be good for a lot of people. So we do have the majority of our mechanics team here with Hubert, Hoppabell, and Nonlinear. They've all been up here before, so we won't do intros because I think you all know who they are. But the first thing I wanted to do is just go to Hubert to kick us off on the mechanics side.
All right. Thank you, Bolin. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let's see. So right now we have the Pets launch is kind of up and coming. That's kind of been the big thing that we've been working on very heavily. There's a lot of things that kind of are interdependent there with Pets, because Pets are going to be providing bonuses to heroes to affect different systems that are in the game. The one that is kind of the biggest one is, of course, the profession system. So Pets will have bonuses that will help or just make you the profession experience a little bit better for the hero that has that pet equipped. So there's still a bit of mechanics work to go on the bonuses themselves, but as far as like the pets and how their structure is and how they're defined, we're more or less to the end of that point now, and are just now getting to the point where we're going to start testing it. There's a lot of art assets involved with all the pets. I'm sure you guys have seen quite a bit. And there's probably just the tip of the iceberg as far as what has been shown versus what has been created. And I'm really excited for us to get that out for you guys. There's also just a lot of really cool upgrades that we're doing just to our display system and everything, that I'm really looking forward to having out. So yeah, we have pets coming. Also, the level 10 profession quest as well is right on the heels with that. So you can look for that coming after that point. And around the time of level 10 profession quest is when you're going to start to see those pet bonuses start to be applied and usable. So just want to make sure you set expectations. When pets first launch, they're going to have like the quality of bonus and the number of bonuses identified, but the actual bonus itself will not be identified until that like the associated feature is out. So for the profession bonuses, that's going to be alongside with the level 10 profession quest launch. But there will also be crafting system bonuses and combat system bonuses, which those two are going to be kind of just defined as like you have a rare combat bonus or a mythic combat bonus, or a common crafting bonus. It'll tell you that you have that, but those actual details will be like you'll actually get what the actual bonus is when we get to the point where we can launch the crafting system or the combat system and have those pets play into it. So there's a little bit of a staggered launch there, and we also are staggering it a little bit further too by doing blue and gray eggs first. So you can look forward to those being the first ones to be hatched. I think we've announced that before. I just wanted to reiterate that. And yeah, I guess the only last thing is with the Gen 0 rerolling, we'd hoped to get that out last Friday. There was some additional bugs that we didn't think we were going to get finished resolving on Friday night. And in the interest of giving the team a rest, we were putting it off till today. From what I've seen, though, it looks like we resolved what those bugs were. And so we're hoping that we can get that out today, barring any last-minute problems. So look forward to an announcement on that later. And yeah, I think that's about all kind of the overview of everything that's going on here for us. So
Beautiful. I do just want to reiterate / re-emphasize. So first iteration, blue and gray, just so that everybody is on the same page and knows what to be looking forward to. So with that, I was going to take a second and see if Hoppa or Nonlinear had anything they wanted to add real quick before we go to some live questions. If not, no worries.
I think Hubert pretty much covered it all. As always, I'm just excited to be here, talk with you guys, hopefully answer a lot of your questions. But yeah, pretty much it from me.
Perfect. Well, then we will start pulling some people on stage. As always, if you have any questions, raise your hand. If your question gets asked, please lower your hand so that we can get to more questions. I'm going to pull a couple people on stage at a time so that we can move as efficiently as possible. So when you get up here, please do mute your mic until it's time for your question so that there's not a bunch of background noise. And first up, we have Metaz. What's going on, Metaz? How are you doing?
Hey guys, awesome to be back again. I'm a bit sad I missed the last one, but I have a topic for you guys, and I'm really curious to hear your opinion, and maybe it relates more to vision. It's a bit of a tie-in between how grants work and how specifically game mechanics in terms of balance work. So the people who wanted to get a coffee, this is the time. A bit of a rant, I'll be brief. But since the introduction of stamina potions, there has been a strong argument, and I'm not saying if it's right or not, but there's a strong case to be made for saying that DFK game mechanics specifically have become more pay to win, in the sense that obviously stamina potions boost the entire economy, so it affects all players, but specifically when it comes to the game mechanics in terms of differences in stat, higher HP, most of it is becoming more and more pay to win, as in you need to invest additional money besides leveling your hero naturally to obtain the best competitive edge. Regardless of said topic, which is an entire discussion in and of itself, I wonder how that balance of like growing towards more play to win mechanics ties in with any potential that third parties might have with the grant program. Specifically, I mean, there's obviously an example in DFK Arena, but it's not specifically about them. It's more about, would you ever allow outside parties to, for example, leverage HP or mana potions for experience, which would then give another avenue for play to win mechanics? I'm just wondering how you guys see this all tying together and how you want to balance out, for example, PvP, knowing that the trend now is going more towards play to win.
Okay. I had my notebook out just to be ready to take all the points of your question down so I don't forget them. Let's see. So as far as like how you're saying stamina potions can kind of drive more of a pay to win type of scenario, I can see where you're coming from with that. And as far as like what we can do for balancing, it's clear if you have the highest level hero and you're quite a bit higher level than the other heroes that are around, then your chances of winning in any sort of competition are going to be higher if we don't do some sort of like level capping or like dividing the hero population into different categories. So I think things like that are things that definitely we are considering. For example, with like upcoming LAN tournaments, it's just still a little bit of a ways out, but with those, to make it so that there's a little bit more of a level playing ground, we may do something where not all of them are going to be just open to all heroes. There will be some level restrictions for some, things like that, or just exploring what we can do to make it a more fair space for those that didn't do aren't using stamina potions in that way. So yeah, I mean, things we can do just to kind of target specific players, different types of players, and be rewarding in all ways, I think is something we're always trying to do our best on. And
I'll just add a thought.
Specify. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to add a thought there that, like internally, we've spent a lot of time talking about the tokenomics versus the gameplay. We have a lot of traditional game developers on our team that have a lot of experience creating like really effective game loops that like the player will come in and do on a like regular basis to get enjoyment or to get like satisfaction or some kind of like return or progression off of. And so how that game loop can be incentivized to also allow those that are like willing to invest more in the game to do so, and allow others that are wanting to grind more to do so. There's all kinds of different player types that come to our game for different reasons. And so just trying to be cognizant of all those different types. But the other aspect about play to earn is, the other aspect about the pay to win is who are they paying? And that's another thing that is really interesting in an economy like ours, where the assets in our game are very much crowdsourced, so that players out there are providing them. So other players that are like willing to pay for them are paying those other people for them, which is sort of the other side of the coin of play to earn, in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents on that part.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I really agree with your opinions here. Maybe I should have phrased my question a bit differently or perhaps a bit briefer. I 100% agree, especially in the crypto scene, but in most games, you cannot actually prevent play to win. It's just part of the system. I was specifically hoping how you'd see your vision when it comes to third parties developing. So, for example, the way Frisky answered, and Hubert as well, you guys are obviously thinking about mechanics to keep it fun for everyone, while, as Frisky said, allowing people to invest more if they want to be better at it, which I think is a good thing. But if you then would, for example, let outside parties through the grant system, we are not there yet, but let's say it happens, also affect said balance, affect the mechanisms through which heroes can get experience, maybe another way. Does this then unbalance the balance that you guys have created, or are there mechanisms to prevent that? Or what is your vision in terms of power leveling, or in terms of, as you say, play to win mechanics when it comes to outside parties affecting them beyond the in-game mechanics?
Maybe there's two ways to answer this, and I'm going to do one that's less impacting game mechanics because I want to make sure that the audience understands the difference. So pretty much any project right now could think of an idea that uses, we're talking about potions right now, so let's just talk about that, that uses health potions, for example, and integrates it into their game. Maybe they don't use hero NFTs, maybe they don't use pets, maybe they don't use anything else, but it's a token. And maybe they build it so that whatever heroes or NFTs that they have, rather than making their own crafting system, they benefit and use DFK HP potions. There's no direct link there. You can take a token, you can burn it, and in that independent platform, they can have added utility for the tokens, and also it'd be a part of their like native experience. And maybe they come for a grant and they say, "Hey, we're adding demand for HP potions for our game, and rather than having our own potions, we're going to use yours. Can we work together and maybe be listed in the game or receive some kind of support or marketing or whatever?" Like that is something that we are open to, and would not, as you put it, impact necessarily the DeFi Kingdom's landscape, because in that example, they're not like spending stamina for experience, for example. So I just want to make sure that option's out there. Pretty much anybody can take NFTs. There are other projects that already incorporate DeFi Kingdom's tokens into what they are doing, and it's completely independent, but does add incremental value. The latter that I think is more for the party here is how would grant program potentially impact it? And I'll just lead with the blanket statement that the vote is directly supposed to be one of the guardrails to any potential there. Let's say a project comes and they say, "Hey, we want to use DFK Paladins for our Paladin Quest project. It's all about Paladins. And as you play our project, we want to spend stamina to offer experience that would be cross-platform, and it's a really good idea. Do you guys like it?" That isn't something even people on this call would unilaterally be like, "Approved, go live." I think the grant program is not only meant to provide some funding, but also to bring in community and make sure that we're all aware of the potential impact, as we saw with one of the projects prior. So I'll pause there. I know Fox unmuted, but I think that latter part of it, there might be some additional thoughts from mechanics on where we are more or less open to that currently.
Yeah, no, this is a good discussion, and we could probably talk for hours about this, honestly. But just the plan and the vision for DFK, especially now that we have our own chain, is creating a ecosystem that other projects can come and build on top of, and adding like utility for our hero NFTs in other projects, as well as our like in-game like utility tokens and even like items as well in like other projects is a thing that we're trying to push on all fronts. And so trying to figure out how that exactly looks like in terms of who can work with us and in what way is part of what the grant program is doing. That's why the community is a large part of that. But to more directly answer your question, because I know this came up with the DFK Arena last time, will we do anything where outside projects can sort of like directly control or impact things without any guardrails? No, like we want to make a very intentional curated system where the economics are very well thought out. And if we do have any kind of integration with that, it will be within, like limits that are set and that are basically standardized across all other projects that want to integrate with us, and will always be basically just an extra thing that you could do instead of a thing that you have to do in order to keep up. And in order to make that work, it essentially means in game they have to have other options to spend those resources that would be just as much, if not more, lucrative in terms of like progression than the outside ones would be. So hopefully that answers that a little bit. There is a lot to say here, and it is kind of an ongoing discussion and a like moving target, but that is our current intention. That it hasn't changed essentially.
Awesome. Very, very nice to hear. I'm also really looking forward to probably the future discussions we'll have about this topic, because I think it's always relevant. I have one more smaller question. I think it's actually very good that Dreamer is maybe as well. It relates to mechanics, but it's also in favor of the community. It's a briefer one. So specifically, when patches launch and smaller things go wrong, I mean, these things happen. It's dev, it's live, it's on the chain, it's difficult. Sometimes community members find issues very close after a patch release. For example, I'm aware of a community member named Felipe who found an issue with stamina and cute heroes, which was after him reporting promptly hotfixed. And I think that's an amazing community that we have at this point. I also just note that there's no reward system or bounty system currently in place. And I know that in the past there were talkings about that. So maybe a combination of having very detailed log even for the tiniest patches, while also having sort of a reward system for community members who are extremely technical and can find certain patches might help support you guys as well, because I think you guys are already swamped when it comes to work. So why not use a community that you have?
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly on that. I've been a big proponent of having like a bug bounty program, which we don't have any official one right now, but unofficially we paid out a lot of jewels and all kinds of bug bounties to all kinds of different people that have like notified us of issues. And actually, Felipe, he's slated to receive one tomorrow, like when we do our payments as well. So, it is a thing that we do. It's not an official program, and I wholeheartedly agree that it needs to be. So I think that will be another thing that we're like really going to push in tandem with the grant program as well. Mr. Fon just hopped on. He has some thoughts about this too, probably.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I just want to say that I've received a draft from Sasha for this kind of official like publication of our bounty and bug system. It's in the final phases of review, but I am grateful, Metes, for you to bring that up. It is something we do want to, make available and apparent to those of our community who are willing to help out. So this is not. My only contribution to the comment is that this is not weeks out. This is days or weeks, like small number weeks out from being ready to be published with the community. It was part of our action plan to make sure we had that information available for people.
All right, awesome. Get ready to get swamped with community bug findings.
I know. It's what we want.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right, guys, I'm going to leave the stage for someone else. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Metes.
Thanks, Meadows. And thanks, Fawn, because I was actually about to plug that as well, so you beat me to it, which I appreciate. Coolio, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Nothing much. Just real thankful for you guys. A lot of projects in the past could easily just move on from right now. So as far as a word of encouragement, just thank you so much. It's venerable, encouraging what you guys are continuing to do. So thank you. My first question with Mechanic would be the way that heroes and NFTs have been accumulating over time, like we're almost at 200,000 heroes. So I was just wondering, the PJ was a great event for burn mechanics and things like that. You kind of touched on it, Frisky, a little bit with, other DFK chain as a chain implementing different heroes, I guess other third-party sites. But have you guys considered any like burn mechanics or PvP deaths or anything like that so that we can incentivize summoning here?
Ooh, deaths. Yeah, I know Hubert has thought a little bit about this, and others have speculated as well. But I'm not sure how much we can share. I'll defer to Hubert for this.
This is definitely something that we have been thinking about. It's really just, I guess, a matter of our timeline and what would be the best system to do. But I do think it would be good for us to have some forms of burn mechanics for heroes. Be that some sort of conflict-based system or maybe some like extra higher difficulty quests that have a bit more of a risk to balance out the reward that they come with, things like that. There's still a lot more to go, and making sure that we're doing it in a thoughtful way, because a lot of these heroes did have a pretty large price tag as far as like the amount of jewel that was spent and also when it was spent. So we want to make sure that any sort of burn events do have that the right amount of reward associated with it. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, we are thinking about it. Nothing to say that's specific that's coming like right on the horizon, but it is something that we do talk about.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. And then I thought the turtle story was very cool. As far as mechanics with that, have you guys discussed or thought about able to share any of your ideas as far as how they contribute to PvP or heroes or anything in the game?
So you're cutting out just a little bit. I think you're asking like thoughts towards how those pages would impact other aspects of the game. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, at the moment, we are focusing on these being more of a lore item, and having the final page is going to kind of have a special event associated with it. So that's, I guess, as far as like mechanics goes, we do have to work out the mechanics on that, and that's kind of in our pipeline right now. So I think that just the acquisition of it will have some aspect of that. We're also looking at what we can do as far as we do plan to have this kind of be a seasonal thing. So the pages that you can get right now are available now, but they won't always be. And there may end up being a little bit of an excess of some pages. And what do we do with those? So there's also thought about how we can use those in other ways, trade them in for other things, etc. As far as how they apply to heroes, that's an interesting thought. I don't think we have anything planned at the moment, but we also do have them as like available tools in our tool chest to add a little bit of extra utility associated with them. But in general, we did want to also just start to add more kind of collectibles to the game, beyond just what you can do to get potions and start improving your hero, just to kind of give more life to the game itself. This was just a small step in that direction as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was thinking like Mana or Skyrim and different things like that. How you can implement potions, yada, like the pages. But that's awesome. That answers that. Last question would be with Dreamer. I know now may not be the best time, but have you guys ever considered for in the future considered a lending program?
I heard. Have you ever considered could you repeat the question?
All I got was
Uh,
lending.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. No, a lending borrowing protocol with Jewel.
Yeah, we've been asked this a number of times, and I think the answer hasn't changed and is progressing every week. So, with the announcement of the partnership with Banky, essentially Banky is going to be in the short term our first lending partner, where they will be building solutions for lending on Jewel, probably to start, and then eventually, after enough time and trading history on Crystal and liquidity supports it, probably lending in Crystal as well. So through the DFK experience on the map in the game and what will feel directly native, there will be lending options. Will they be originated, and will all of the risk be managed by existing resources that are in DFK? No, we're partnering with other successful platforms to do so, not only lending, but options through DopeX, and even others that we're talking about in terms of swaps. There's some out there that are looking at NFT-based lending. There's a lot of other protocols. We can't do them all. I guess we could, but what we're looking to do is really use DFK chain to gamify other protocols. One of those types is our lending protocols, and the first up that we've been working with is Banky. So I don't want to say we will never ever do it, and I don't want to say that it's not coming. My answer pretty much says that all participants will have lending options through DFK, partnered with Banky, with a fee sharing mechanism there for all involved in the community.
Awesome. Hey, thank you everybody so much for answering those questions. Bullish.
Appreciate you, Coolio. Next up, we have Crypto Noob.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Appreciate the time. I'll be really quick. First one, just easy question. When should we expect leaderboard jewel payouts? I know, especially for some of the smaller wallets that may have made a significant investment, they may be hurting for Jewel to do other things at this point for the leaderboards.
I'll answer that one. So the leaderboards, we had the raffle for, or not raffle, but the rewards for, I think there were some Gen Zeros, but there was also jewel payouts involved with that. I have a ClickUp task for that in our system. I'll bump the priority on that and see if I can get those out ASAP, because yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Sure. So, and then I wasn't sure if you had a idea going forward, just so that players know kind of the delay. If it's kind of because there's, obviously leaderboards every day, if it's going to be kind of a regular thing where you pay out, every 2 weeks, or if it's just kind of when you have a moment to do it.
Yeah, up until now, there's a few airdrops we do in our community pretty regularly. There's the Tilt Proof Tuesdays. There's every now and then they'll have side quests and things. And it's generally just been whenever we get a second. But I think what we want to do is make sure that it's a lot more regular. And I'm not sure what that looks like right now, but I think what I'd like to do is say maybe have a certain amount of time set aside such that every week all of the ones that are ready to go are basically done at that time in that week. So it's more of you wouldn't see more than a week, maybe two in between. So that's what I'd like to see happen for that.
Awesome. I appreciate that. The second one, another kind of simple one, is for the Gen Zero rerolls. Are those going to be identified immediately? For example, if someone did the reroll and then listed it in the tavern, so that someone didn't unknowingly buy one that had already been rerolled, thinking that they were going to be able to reroll it.
That's a good point. So the way we're going to be doing the identifying relies on a feature that is currently being beta tested, or I actually should say alpha tested, for our API. It's just requiring that it's tracking some additional information of where all of our achievements come from, and with that, at this point, I think we are wanting to get the re-rolling out sooner than waiting for that feature to be ready. So the way you'd be able to tell if something has been re-rolled would be to look at how many summons it has. I think most Gen Zeros at this point are well above the where the summons are going to get reset to, and then we're planning to have some more visual indications come into play here shortly after. But yeah, I guess right now we are targeting a little bit of a gap between when a reroll happens and when that'll be very obviously visible for players.
So that kind of answers a question I hadn't even thought about, but those rewards from the rerolls will be immediate. It's not going to be a delay until after the 30-day window when you have the ability to do the reroll.
That's correct. Yeah, the rewards happen upon completion of the transaction.
Awesome. And then the last question I have for you guys is, has there been any thought to the price of DFK gold becoming too expensive as new features roll out that gold is necessary for? Obviously, when we had a little bit less supply and leaderboards and things of that nature that you could actually use gold for came out, we saw a spike in the gold price. And I use a stamina potion for an example. I think got up to $40 at one point, and obviously that's come down. And obviously this isn't a huge issue right now with the price of everything. But with more utility, I could see that becoming a problem. So I wasn't sure if the team had given that any thought.
Yeah, actually, we've spent quite a lot of time thinking about that and other things with the economics of our game. We actually created a committee for this that meets regularly to just kind of talk about the impact on our economy with the utility. But to say or to speak to the plan we have and our approach, it's always to add more utility to our assets, whether they be like ERC20s or NFTs, in all of the features that we're doing. So you will see utility of things go up, and that utility oftentimes will lead to price increases, which then should incentivize other players to actually run those quests and provide the supply for those. So it will eventually basically meet at a healthy spot in the market. But that's really what drives the play to earn aspect of our game, is having that utility. And if any prices get too high for a specific asset, then you'll see a lot of players will basically shift their focus to try to get more of that so they can sell it. And that's kind of like the market effect there.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. Yeah. And I only use stamina potions as the example because that's, the main use case for gold right now. And I know it hasn't been announced, but obviously something that's been floated around is certain mechanics, such as moving from land to land requiring gold. So just a concern that someone who would not necessarily pay for a stamina potion or have a use for extra things, but you need, if there was a use case that you needed gold to travel from land to land, to deter somebody who couldn't afford it to do that in-game action.
Yeah, for travel itself, it's still being worked out. I don't think right now we're planning there to be a just straight you can't travel at all unless you pay. That's not how we're approaching that. But there are other things in our game that will for sure add additional utility to gold that are even in the short term, in the next week or 2 or 3, that will be coming out. So you will see things like that will add utility for gold or for jewels or for potions or whatever is out there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think if I just wanted to add, I think for those listening as well that are trying to follow, how does that actually work? If something gets, let's say, very expensive because of some new utility, I think you used the example of stamina potions, and somebody sees, I can either buy this potion and play this part of the game, or I can go over here and quest for materials to craft this potion and sell it for a significant return on investment of my time and NFTs, or I don't have any miners. Wow, at these prices, if I buy some miners and mine some gold and sell some gold at current prices, it's very attractive. With all new utility, it will adjust prices, but we're not focused on managing towards any type of a fixed price. However, the incremental utility will change the behavior of some participants, where maybe one activity in the game might then become more or less profitable in terms of time spent or deployment of resources than another, based on your own kind of opinion and research. So prices will always have rediscovery. There will be new price equilibrium between supply and demand, and that really depends on the community and the players, and it is less of a thing that we're trying to manipulate and control. We do, however, pay close attention to new features being largely disruptive unnecessarily to the economy. So on the one hand, we're looking to add utility, which may make certain things more expensive that were less utilized in the past. And I think we'll find natural equilibrium through gameplay. But we're also, part of this committee is to say, we're going to do this thing. Let's BS test this from all angles. Are we hurting the economy anywhere with an imbalance? And if so, how can we solve for that in either later stages or simultaneously? So, sorry, I didn't mean to extend that answer further, but for anybody that was listening, having a harder time following, just wanted to add those details.
Awesome. Thank you guys for the time. Bullish.
Thank you, Crypto Noob. I could probably speak about that exact topic for hours, so I'll just, I guess, be quiet after just one last thought there. But we as a team are providing a steady flow of additional value and utility to this game and this ecosystem, and it's just sort of a steady, gradual addition of utility that will continue to flow into the game throughout all of its life. So, yep, just putting that out there as well.
Definitely appreciate it. Thank you, Crypto Noob, as well. So we're gonna go to Cyrus, and then we're gonna do one more question, and then we're gonna have to wrap up for the day. Cyrus, what you got for us?
Hey, how you doing? All right, so my question is more on the PvP PvE mechanic. A lot of the stats are like well known. There are two that I have a question about: agility and dex. So agility in most games are like the main focus for a lot of teams. Here, though, I don't know if a ninja that has 31 agility would go twice as much as a Dark Knight with, say, 15 agility, or if it just means that he'll go once before him. I was wondering if that could be clarified.
See, I think that's something. If we had Barrios or Nox here, it'd be a little bit easier to say the exact answer. But yeah, I think what is, from what I understand, since they're doing the combat system, I don't think there's a strict doubling for that. You know, you're looking at agility over the course of the game is going to be significant. You know, you're going to get into the hundreds as you level up. So I think a strict doubling would be a bit too extreme. But yeah, honestly, with the combat equations and stuff, we have our two game devs, Barrios and Nox, who are the main focus on that, and I have not seen exactly how they're implementing agility. But my assumption, though, is that it's not just going to be like a strict doubling like that.
Yeah, but to answer your question, if you do have higher of the stat that is used for that, then you will go faster and have a turn that is more often than other player characters and also like enemies that have lower values for that stat as well. So it is how that works basically.
Yeah, definitely for sure. It does. Having higher agility does mean you go faster for sure.
I was just making sure it wasn't just like 1v1. It's your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, no matter how it stacks up, and just whoever has agility goes first. Like Pokemon, you know? And then the
Right.
second question
No,
is
it's not like that.
dexterity.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
with dexterity, sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, just for the clarity on that other one, it's not just like 1-1-1-1. I could go like 2 or 3 times in like the time that another character could only go once potentially.
Perfect. That answers that perfectly. The second question I had is with dexterity. In most games, it's related to accuracy and dodge. With DFK, they said, hey, a little portion of it will be your damage for like archers and other classes like pirates. How exactly do you think that will play out as a essentially damage equation, or is that more of a Baron Knox question?
Yeah, those two would have the. I mean, they know the equation better than I do. But I will say, yeah, Dex is an accuracy trait. It's that kind of has shifted a little bit from what we initially said at the very beginning. But it's an accuracy trait that does also have a multiplier into certain damages, like you said with Archer and with Pirates. So it does kind of play a role in both. And with our accuracy system, we do kind of have like a quality of hit aspect to it. So like the higher accuracy you have, you have a higher chance of having like a more direct hit versus like a glancing blow or a miss. So there actually will be kind of degrees of damage that can occur based on how accurate your hit is. So that it does kind of play in that regard as well.
All right, thank you. Answered my questions. Bullish.
Thanks, Sears. Appreciate it. Meliance, last question. What you got?
All right, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, sorry, I'm on my phone today. So I was going to chime in about the last question that Sirius had. It sounds like agility will work a lot like initiative plus haste, known in most games for combat. And it sounds like dexterity will work along the idea of like combat expertise and accuracy as well. But my personal question was going along the lines of pets being usable on questing for our level 10 quest. In what regards do we think we'll see those higher level quests coming out? I would assume that since we just got our 0.5 level quests out with the training quest that we have now, that we'd be expecting those sooner than, than the time period it has from the level 0 quest till now. But if there was any kind of expectation of the timeline for that.
Sure. Yeah. So I can tell you it's the next thing on our timeline. Like as soon as pets are out, the next thing to come out, like as far as like major features go, that mechanics is responsible for. That would be the next big thing that we're pushing for. So it should, yeah, it's definitely going to be a much shorter turnaround than like the time between the level 0 quests and the training quests. But as far as like a specific date, I don't want to say one date or another, other than, it is the next big piece, and we are already working on it now. It is kind of tied to pets, so it is something we're hoping to target to get out fairly quickly.
I guess a little bit of specification for me. Are heroes being level 10 required to do the quest, or is it we're jumping from 0 to 0.5 to level 10?
So it's a profession skill. So you need to have level 10 profession skill to be able to do it. Not actually level 10 hero level.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that clarification and helping us get a little bit more information. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Maliance. All right. So we are going to go ahead and get wrapped up here. Before we end, Hubert, Hoppabell, Penguin, any last thoughts? Anything you wanted to add?
As far as from me, just again, happy to be here answering you guys' questions. Thank you again for asking them all, especially when they are more challenging questions. Like internally, we end up discussing a lot of these things very extensively. And a lot of times, like you guys trigger thoughts, or it's nice to see that when we come to these AMAs, you guys are asking some of the same questions that we've already discussed or that we are discussing. So just in general, nice to see that we're aligned there. And yeah, very much appreciative of everyone that's here.
We appreciate you, Penguin. Hoppa, anything?
I'd just like to reiterate what Penguin said. I didn't speak that much on this AMA, but I really enjoyed a lot of the detailed question and appreciate a lot of the thought going into mechanics from the community. And I'm looking forward to more questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Hoppa. Hubert?
Yeah, sorry, Penguin and Hoppa didn't really give you guys much time to speak this time, so we'll try to be a little better that next time on that. But yeah, in general, I think with mechanics and where we are with the game, there has been a little bit of a kind of a shift where we've kind of adjusted to this next phase of the gameplay. And with each new thing that we add, it does add kind of an overall complexity to the game. Like everything becomes more and more interdependent with each thing that we add. So it does get a little bit more challenging to make sure that we have everything balanced and that we're thinking through all the different aspects of things. But I really think we're starting to hit our stride and get faster at releasing content and making sure that we're designing things the right way. And everything's kind of a learning experience as we're growing our team too. We need to make sure that everyone understands our processes and whatnot. And I'm looking very much forward to what we have on the horizon. I think pets are going to be a really fun addition. There's a lot of different things that we're doing with that to make it so that there's a lot of diversity among the pets, even though they don't have necessarily genes like heroes do that kind of give them their diversity. We're doing pets in a different way. I think it's going to be pretty exciting, and there's kind of incremental utility coming to them as we go along. Once combat comes out, they'll be useful there too. So we're trying to make sure that we're future proofing those as much as we can. And yeah, I'm really excited. Also, our team with how we've grown things, our art team and the talents that we have brought on are allowing us to do a lot more visual type things that we haven't really put in the game thus far. And I think, you know, as we move forward there as well, the game as a whole is going to become more interactive, have better graphics, and you know, just more and more things that you can do with your heroes and your different tokens and whatnot. So I'm really excited for the future. Even though, you know, the market and everything, there's been a lot of negativity in some regards. I'm really excited for where we're going, and you know, we're not slowing down here on the mechanics team or just in the development in general. And you know, I hope our release of pets are going to really show, you know, the level of effort that we're putting into this. And you know, we're here to make this game great. And you know, I remain bullish as ever. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Hubert. Dreamer? Dreamer wasn't expecting me to call him out, apparently.
Maybe not.
Oh,
Oh,
my
there it
bad.
is.
I pressed the unmute, but it didn't unmute. Great words from Hubert and everybody else. I love this AMA. I love that the questions were like directly on point and relevant. And I gave a bit of comments at the beginning, so I'll just make this really short. There's that meme out there that I'm going to adjust a little bit and just say we're not only here for a good time, but we're also fully intended to be here for a long time. I hope that the plans, the roadmap, but also the reactivity with the markets and a lot of forces we can't control, and our way to make sure that we're solvent, we're sustainable, we're building and growing are made clear to the community. Yeah, I love this team, love the community. Bullish for me.
Thank you, Dreamer. And to close us out, last comments from Fox.
Thank you, Bolan, and thank you, Hubert and Dreamer and Hoppa and Penguin and Mr. Fawn when he hopped in for all of your answers. And thank you to the people who asked questions. You know, this was a really great AMA. It's a testament to this community and the maturity of all the members here and our team as well. But, you know, even at times when things are down across the market, we're not panicking. We have a plan in place. We're doubling down on our plan and our responsibilities as a team to add value and utility to this project, and that is just a constant inflow of like value being added as we go, as these like weeks go, and have all these like new upcoming exciting features that are being launched, which I am really excited about, especially like duel and pets, and eventually like equipment and travel, and then combat. You know, there's some really exciting things that will add a lot of interesting things into how our game works, and a lot of new opportunities for the play to earn aspect, along with the just overall enjoyability of this game as well, and creating a ecosystem that other projects could come and build on top of on our chain, and interacting with our player base through our kingdom, basically. So I'm super proud of our team. I'm proud of our community, and I'm excited to be here and be building, and I'm excited for the future, and I'm always super bullish. Thanks for coming.
Bullish.
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 Bullish. Thanks, guys.